This is the Minecraft Nether, one of the most dangerous places in Minecraft. I mean, if you're not getting blown up by ghasts, attacked by piglins, chased by hoglins, or stuck in soul sand, then you're probably burning your butt in lava. And that's not fun when you only have one life. Yes, this is Minecraft hardcore, which is why I've never built anything in the Nether. But let's not talk about that. Because today that changes, as I'm going to be taking on my most insane project yet by building an epic Nether Hub that will make it way easier to travel around the world and give the Nether a crazy makeover at the same time. But this comes with a huge challenge, as not only do I have to fight off all the angry mobs while I'm building it, but the build itself is going to fill a massive area covering more than 100 by 100 blocks in the Nether, which means things are about to get crazy. Not to mention that this build alone requires more than 50,000 blocks, which is why this video has taken me nearly 2 months to plan, record and edit. So if you did enjoy, please consider subscribing to the channel, as it really helps. But before we do anything, let's make a ton of space, because this one's gonna be huge. That took me way longer than I cared to admit, and even though I repaired all of my tools before starting, I still managed to bust my way through pretty much all of my pickaxes. So, good thing we have an enderman farm. But now the area is clear and we have an outline for the build, so let's go over the plan.
Step 1.
First, I'm going to connect this massive ring to the ground, creating a massive wall, then section it into 4 zones.
Step 2.
In each zone, I'll build a nether pool and connect a wall around the outer edge, linking some pathways through the middle.
Step 3.
Finally, I'll detail all 4 zones by building some insane custom nether biomes and add a bunch of mobs while keeping it safe at the same time. That means I have a crazy amount of resources to gather, but first I'd like to actually make use of the froglights in this build, but the only way to really get them is with a farm, and the best place to build that farm is on the nether roof. So let's see if we can bust our way through. Luckily, gaining access to the nether roof is pretty simple. All we need is an ender pearl, and if we aim it just right, we can pop straight through. And don't worry, I have everything I need inside this shulker. What the? Haha, gotcha. I wonder how many people have made that mistake. That would be awkward. Anyway, I have everything I need, so let's quickly build a pool just about here. And to be safe, let's just make sure it works. Also, all I need to do now is make a hole in the nether roof so that we can actually get back down to the nether. Man, I really hope this works. I haven't actually tested it yet, but it involves playing with TNT, so I could literally blow myself up. So I do have a totem just in case. Let's pull the lever, open a trapdoor, and place a piston. Well, I'm still alive, but did it work? Yes! First time. I mean, of course it did. I'm a professional, apparently. So all I need to do now is just make a way back up, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. First, let's build this farm. Luckily, this one is super simple and it produces all 3 variants of the froglights. For this build, I started by building a large storage area for all the drops. I mean, after all, the farm is designed for going AFK, so we need plenty of storage. I then worked on the killing chamber. This involved building a 9x9 area of hoppers, which I covered with mud and then surrounded it with glass. And this is the area where the frogs will go, where they get to eat the magma cubes and then poop out the froglights. Yep, don't ask me how, but it works. To increase the spawn rates, I added spawning platforms on all 4 sides. Then I placed some temporary blocks in the middle, which I placed chains on top of. This should leave just enough room for the smallest magma cubes to fall through to the lower level. Finally, I surrounded it with 3 layers of glass to stop the mobs from escaping. All I need now is a couple of iron golems in the middle, so let's place some iron bars to trap them. And we can place 1 iron golem and 2 iron golems. Excellent. All I need now is some frogs, and luckily I have some at the zoo. Hey, who wants some slime? You guys are hungry. I spent a while breeding up the frogs and then quickly scooped up a few of the tadpoles into some buckets, which I'll come back to in just a minute. You see, this enclosure sits in both the grove and a dark forest biome, meaning that the frogs will grow up into both the green and orange variants. And after naming them all Froggy so that they didn't despawn, I grabbed my newfound friends and took them back to their new home. Which meant all I needed now was the final white frog variant. So I grabbed my tadpoles I scooped up earlier and I took them to the closest jungle where I made a new friend. Let's call him Froggy. Froggy the parrot. However, somewhere along my journey I lost one of the frogs. But at least I made it back to the farm with 3, so we now have 9 frogs in there, which should be plenty. Unfortunately, I also lost Froggy, my parrot, coming through the portal, but at least the farm was ready for testing. First, I just need a good AFK spot, and about 115 blocks up should do the trick. Yes, looks like they are spawning, so let's AFK for 5 minutes and see what we get. Oh wow, that's quite a lot for 5 minutes. With the farm running fairly efficient, I decided to give it a run and see just how many drops we could get after going AFK for 1 hour. Okay, this thing is pretty insane. I mean, I have more than an entire double chest for each color froglight and nearly 16 stacks of magma cream. I mean, that is just crazy. Plus, I have the ones from earlier as well, so we have even more. So I'll probably need to upgrade this storage at some point, but for now, that will more than do. I mean, seriously, what an awesome farm. Look who I just found wandering outside the other side of the portal. Yep, it's Froggy the parrot. I'm so glad we found him. Let's get him back to the zoo where it's a little bit safer. There you go, buddy. Enjoy your new home. With my new friend all settled in, it was time to head back to the Enderman farm to yet again repair all of my tools. And after absorbing all that lovely XP, my shulker box full of tools was as good as new. Before heading back to the Nether, I quickly crafted myself a new bow and decided to try my luck at getting Infinity, as those ghasts have been giving me a hard time and Infinity would certainly help. Maybe some power 4 as well. Man, I'm really not having much luck with these enchantments today. Let's remove that and try one more time. Okay, I guess that will work. I mean, I have Infinity and Power 4, so I guess that will do the job for now. Which means it's time for Phase 1 Material Gathering. And to be honest, the list wasn't particularly big, but the amounts I needed was. So it was time to suck it up and get to work. So first on my list is blackstone, and I need all variants of this. So let's find a bastion and take it down. This one should do the trick, so let's set up a beacon and get to work. I've been at this for like 2 hours now, and I'm just over halfway there. Halfway. Is that a spawner? A magma spawner? Since when did they add them? Surely that can't have been in game since the Nether update. Well, after a quick bit of research, it turns out that they have. So, you learn something new every day. When I finally reached the bottom of the bastion, I found a few treasures, including some diamonds, a bunch of gold blocks, and one piece of netherite, which should come in handy. At this point, I'd spent well over 3 hours destroying the bastion. The problem was, I needed way more blackstone and polished blackstone, and the bastion wasn't really the place for that. So I headed to the basalt delta, set up my beacon, and got to work mining as much as I could. Another 3 hours later and I was finally done, meaning I now had spent over 6 hours mining some form of blackstone. And yes, that did put a huge dent in pretty much all of my pickaxes. So, once again, I had to make another stop by the Enderman farm. There we go, good as new. Next up was quartz blocks, and this is where the challenge really begun. You see, I needed around 5 shulkers worth, which is about 2.5 double chests. However, I didn't think about the fact that it takes 4 quartz to make a single block, meaning I would need to gather 10 double chests worth of nether quartz. And it was a painful journey, taking me several days in real life. The only thing keeping me going was the thought of how cool the build would turn out in the end. Not to mention that the constant XP from the quartz kept my pickaxe going strong through the whole process. So, thank you, Mending. But to be honest, I'm kinda sick of quartz now, so let's throw it into the furnace and turn it into smooth quartz. And while that's smelting, we can work on getting some purple glass. And I need about 10 double chests worth. That means a shed load of sand, a lot of smelting, a ton of flowers, and finally a little bit of crafting. At this point, I'd been slaving away for well over a week gathering materials and clicking that mouse like there was no tomorrow, and I needed a break. So I decided to head back to the Nether Hub and make a start on step 1, which meant I could finally do some building. And I thought this would be pretty relaxing, just building up a wall. But my gosh, was I wrong. You guys are starting to push my buttons now. I don't think so, dude. I don't get it. Like, I didn't even touch you. Seriously, this is just getting stupid now. And after 4 hours, I'm finally finished with the base walls. I mean, it's progress, but my gosh, progress feels slow. But next up is the walkways, and hopefully the ghasts will leave us alone to build this time. But my goal is to make the entire Nether Hub spawn-proof. So I'm gonna go with the lower half slabs for the floor, and I'm thinking maybe nether bricks. Yeah, it might be a little bit dark, but once we add some color to it, it should really pop. Hopefully that should keep the pathway spawn-proof. But it looks a little boring, so let's add some colour. First, let's craft some purple concrete. And I think this would look pretty awesome as a border, just going around the outer edge. And to keep it spawn-proof, let's just place down some purple carpet on top. Yeah, that's looking much better. Which now brings us on to step 2. So it's time to build the portals. I want to build these at the end of each path, and I want to make the structure very symmetrical, which means that the portals have to look the same. But it should make the build look pretty grand. And to brighten everything up, I want to go with smooth quartz and maybe a little bit of blackstone for detail. Yeah, that looks so good. And that gives us a nice height to build the walls up to. It kind of reminds me of a Greek palace entrance, but I think it works with the design that I have in mind. So now I've just got to repeat this at the end of each pathway. Portals are all in place now and looking pretty cool, but I did have to move some of the locations as some of them were taking me into the caves, but now they all link up above ground. However, I am getting attacked by ghasts way too often, so we should probably work on those walls so that we can avoid being seen. And for this particular design, I want to add a stripe of purple glazed terracotta for a bit of detail. So first we need some terracotta. Don't think I've actually ever used terracotta for a build before, but I'm pretty sure you just smelt it in the furnace for the glazed version. Yep, looks like that works. So that should be everything I need for the walls, so let's get them in place. Okay, that's the first section done, and I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot tougher than I expected. I mean, that took me like 2 hours. Yeah, those ghasts are really killing me, man. I'm just praying that these walls protect me, so on to the next section. Finally, that's 2 sections in place now, and I'm feeling a little bit safer. So, just the other half to do now, so let's crack on. Well, the walls are in place now, and I'm honestly surprised that I have any hair left. I mean, that was pretty stressful. It's no wonder everyone wants to build them on top of the nether roof. So, yeah, I'm kind of regretting not doing that now. Seriously, why do I do this to myself? Well, at least the walls are in place now, so we do have some form of protection at least. So next I want to start working on a cool ring design in the middle. And this should really add a nice bit of colour to the hub and help tie the build together. But first I need some magenta concrete. Seriously, there's got to be a quicker way of doing this. Let's also craft some magenta glass, and hopefully these walls keep us safe and stop those ghasts from ruining all my work. Let's do this. Oh my god, how cool does that look now? I mean, I still need to extend the pathways on the outside and build all of the biomes, but man, that is looking so good. Which means it's on to step 3, which is detailing all 4 zones with some custom biomes, so that means I need even more resources, including a ton of lava, so that should be fun. I decided to go one biome at a time, gathering all the materials I needed from one area before moving on to the next one. And I started with the Crimson Forest, as the hoglins usually drive me crazy. But most of the materials were easy enough to gather, although I did have to fight off the piglins and hoglins several times. At this point my steel touch pickaxe was pretty damaged, but with the power of XP and quartz it was good as new in no time. And after a couple of hours I finally had enough resources from the Crimson Forest, so I moved on to the next biome, which was the warped forest. And luckily there was one just a few blocks away. However, this time round was much quicker as I had most of the resources that I needed, so I just gathered a handful of warp logs, twisting vines and some nylium. I already had everything I needed from the basalt delta, so I quickly grabbed some soul sand and soul soil from the soul valley, which meant all I needed now was some lava. Luckily I found a bunch of lava buckets back at base, although I will need more, but there is a lava lake right next to the Nether Hub, so it should be easy enough to top it up when I need it. I also placed down some soul sand so that I could grow some more nether wart. So while that's growing, let's build a small wall around the inner ring, adding another level which we can use for extra detail later. And I'm still getting a lot of piglins and ghasts spawning inside the hub, so let's quickly do a bit of spawn proofing. I know this area under here is hidden, but there were so many ghasts and other mobs spawning here, so this should make the area a little bit safer. While I'm down here, let's quickly extend these walls down a few blocks and fill in these gaps so that we can extend our custom biomes a little bit later. Finally, I have most of the structure in place now and it is looking so epic, which means I can finally start working on the biomes. So let's add some color with a nice bright red crimson forest. Okay, it is very red, but I think I like it. And once all the other biomes are in place, it should blend everything together, adding a nice bit of colour to the build. But overall, it's really starting to shape up now. Next up, I'll go for the warped forest, and I'll build it on a section directly opposite rather than it being side by side, as I just think it'll look a bit better. But first, let's stock up on lava because I'm completely out. That should do for now, so on to biome number 2. Let's go. Yeah, that looks so cool, and as you can see, the colors are really bringing everything together now. Plus, I managed to do that entire biome with just one attack from a ghast, so I think things are slowly becoming safer now. Fingers crossed, of course. And I think I have everything I need for the next one other than bone blocks, so let's quickly grab a few. Oh, okay, that was way too close. Oh gosh, I need some food. Where has all my food gone? Oh, thank God, golden carrots, yes. Okay, that was pretty scary for a minute. Well, I guess at least I have enough bones now for biome number 3, so let's get back to work. Wow, this place is really starting to look amazing, but I'm not gonna lie, this has been one of my toughest and craziest challenges so far. I think it's taken me around 300 days in game so far, which is a little crazy, even for me. So before starting the last biome, let's grab a few name tags, and I'll give them a well-deserved name like subscribe. Not that I'm hinting at anything, but hopefully I can catch a few mobs in the biomes along the way. So let's crack on and get that last biome in place. I cannot tell you how happy I am to get that last biome in, and I think it looks awesome. However, the build is not done yet. As you can see, we have a big hole in the center. So I'm thinking in here we add some layers of purple glass to create a cool kind of mist effect. Man, that just brings everything together. That looks insane. But now, we just need to bring in a few mobs and name tag them. So let's grab a couple of hoglins. These guys always make me so nervous. Okay, that's a daddy one and a baby. Just follow me this way, guys. Why do they keep running away? How strange. I had to do some research, but it turns out they're afraid of warped fungi. So, let's get rid of you. Yep, now they want to chase me. Okay, that's 2 adults in there now, and I think a couple of babies. But honestly, that was a bit of a struggle, especially trying to put name tags on them. But apparently we can breed them with crimson fungus, but I'll have to find a safe way of doing that first. Now the thing is, we do get a lot of zombie pigmen and piglins spawning all the time in here, so I don't really need to add them. See, there's loads of them. Although they can't access any of the pathways, they can only spawn down in the biome areas, so the area is still pretty safe. So maybe we'll go with a couple of striders instead. Luckily we have a lava pool that's pretty close by, so let's just quickly make a walkway up. And now I can grab some leads. And we should be able to bring them up here fairly easily. Okay, a little slow, but we made it. Let's break a hole somewhere around here. And now I can name them and let them run free. Actually, can we get you in here? Ah, come on, keep setting me on fire. Okay, probably not the best way to do this, but let's carefully shoot him. And now we can trap him. Haha, sorry buddy, but you're going nowhere. Probably a good idea that I get out of here for a little bit. And just look at the place now. Such a transformation, and honestly, my most challenging build yet. I mean, it's taken me over 300 days in Minecraft, but I hope you guys have enjoyed the journey.